everybody. Welcome back to Minority Report. We're going to hit up the next episode, and this week is my week, so I'm very excited. My name is Gabby Samaniego. I'm here with
Carl Anthony. Hello, everyone.
And it's your boy Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can recognize me now because the mustache is coming back.
All right, guys. I want to jump right into this because I'm very interested to see how you guys feel about this topic. But I kind of want to know what your guys' view is on what your definition of what a man is.
All right. That's deep. Okay, so I don't know where do I even begin? Where do I even begin? Okay, so in my eyes, all right, in my personal opinion, I believe a man, and this is not just limited to a man, but for this topic, I think a man is somebody who, I guess, takes care of what needs to be done. You know, day in and day out, he's trying to grow. I'm saying he's compromising, he's understanding. I'm saying he takes criticism and he builds on that. I'm saying I believe a man is a person who wants to better themselves day in and day out, taking care of responsibilities without having to be told. You know, so you know what you got to get done and you get it done. I believe that's what a man is. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I know there's a kind of a stigma where, you know what I'm saying, men, they've got to be like super tough and fucking like just rah all the time. I don't think that necessarily constitutes core characteristics or qualities of a man. I think some men are that, some men aren't. You know what I'm saying?
So for you, it kind of sounds like you are differentiating between what a man is and what masculinity is.
Right. And I think, you know what I'm saying, when that question is asked, first thing that comes to people's head is masculinity. You know what I'm saying? And I don't necessarily think that has anything really to do with being a man. I think being a man is where your heart is and where your head is. To me, that's what I think.
All right, Carl, let's hear your take on it.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Kelly said. I believe that it's about where your mindset is, where your values and your principles are, and where your heart's at. You know, I wouldn't say it's unfortunate, but to me, in my personal opinion, like the reality of it is, as a man, you know, you have to be willing to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And I'm speaking for myself, honestly. For me as a man, I will, you know, when I do have a family, as a man, I'm going to do whatever I can to, you know, make sure they're protected and provided for. And also just try to teach, because I think it's a big role to teach, but also know when to admit when you're wrong. I think that's a big thing. Being a man is knowing to admit when you're wrong and learn and grow from that.
Yeah.
Being able to be knocked down and how you respond to being knocked down. Are you going to be a little baby and cry about it, making excuses? Or are you going to learn from whatever the reason why you got knocked down and come back stronger?
You see, all of this is very like, I mean, those are all great qualities to try and emulate, and those are all great things to try and live your life by. It's kind of odd to me that that's what is associated to being a man and not a person. I mean, I look at single moms and they are responsible for that exact same thing that you just described. You know, I mean, if you look at really any individual, like any self-worthy self-serving individual. Everyone's always going to want to get up if they're knocked down. Everyone's always going to want to have leadership, integrity, because that's kind of what the fundamentals of what you guys are describing, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm hearing, is that, you know, be the leader for yourself and for those around you by making the right decisions. Take the responsibility, you know, get that stuff done in your personal life, your work life. I agree with all of that, but I don't understand why that's what makes you a man, because I mean, if we look at single moms, that's what they have to do every day. So, I mean, is she a man now because she is taking care of all of those things at one time?
And that's kind of why I said, like, it's not limited to just men, but because I believe that the only difference between a man and a woman to me is the anatomy, honestly. You know what I'm saying, and obviously the composition of the chemicals, but body wise. So I mean, what the same thing that I guess makes a man
Makes a woman.
Makes a woman. Yeah.
Exactly.
And because I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely, yeah. So it makes sense what you said about the characteristics of people, but I think that's, at the end of the day, that makes the characteristics. A woman is like that, then that makes her a woman, not like a little girl. You know, that makes her a woman.
Okay, so like, I mean, I was interested to definitely get your insight on what you guys individually think what a man is, because I'm going to flip it around and ask you, you know, the same question, but what do you think society expects of a man? What is the view of a man based on society from your own perspectives?
Well, can we get your opinion real quick on what you think a man is?
A man is, I don't know. Like, I mean, I look at a man and I definitely, like with everybody, I think that whenever you meet someone, you do judge that person. You know, first impressions do last, I think, but I don't think they last forever. I think that, you know, until you see that person again, are they able to clarify your judgments the first round go or whatever. So when I first meet a man, I'm definitely interested to see what his values are, what his integrity is. And I mean, really whatever that moment presents for that man to show who he is. But I don't think that there's necessarily something that a man has to do to be considered a man. I think that I think I look at people as people, and if I think you're a good person, then I'm going to be around you. I'm going to associate with you, and I'm going to do my best to do what's best for you. As long as I'm not drowning myself, I'm going to respect that in you, and I'm going to try and give that in return. So I feel that, like, when it comes to things, like if we're looking at my view of a man, I think a man should do all the same things that you guys are talking about. I will respect those things, and I'm going to look for those things, not necessarily because he's a man, but because he's a person. And whatever I'm going to let into my life, I want it to be a positive thing. I want it to be a position to where maybe I can grow from that person, and maybe I can help that other person grow. For me, a man is not necessarily something that can just be laid out on paper.
Right. I completely agree with that. I think, I don't think, well, I hate when I see, like, on like when people argue, I'm saying, and say it's like a couple, they're arguing and she's like, oh, you're not a man, just and that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate that. I hate hearing that and seeing that, because at the end of the day, I think just like you said, those certain things don't necessarily define just a man. I think that's what people should be doing. Like when people say, oh, you're not a man because you don't take care of your kid, it's like, well, I mean, you're less of a person because you're not taking care of your kid. It isn't just, I'm saying, minimalize you because you're a man. It's, I'm saying, people. That's you should be doing. That's your job as a human being. You say you brought a life into this world. It's your responsibility to take care of it. So, and I think, like, now to your next question, when you said, what do I think society's view on what a man is? Mm-hmm. I think. Does she disagree with me?
Sorry about that.
I think I think society's view on men are, I think, it's very harsh. I don't think, like, I think men are held to a super high standard to be called men amongst society. That is, like, I think, you know what I'm saying, people think that men, you know what I'm saying, should be like, just should have it together. You know what I'm saying? Just to be that clean cut guy, very professional, always on point, know what he's doing, where he's going. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just he's got to have it together. You know what I'm saying? He's got to be that guy that you can ask questions and he'll give you that answer, or he'll give you the reference.
It's almost
So
not human.
Yeah. And
are you suggesting that there's like a certain amount of pressure that's put on your gender specifically because, you know, of your anatomy, that you are expected to reach a level of adulthood a lot faster than someone else would?
yeah, yeah, I do believe that. I think
I don't.
because there's so many negative stigmas towards men. You know what I'm saying? And
Such as what? Such as what?
like,
Name
all
one or
right,
two.
all right, one I hate so much is that women mature faster than men. All right, I mean, granted, there are some studies, well, one study in particular that shows that, you know what I'm saying, it says and is recorded in women that their brain matured faster than the men that did the study. And I mean, you can see that in today's society. There are a lot of women that are a lot more mature than men of their age, but that doesn't define every single man on the planet. You know, I know some people that I think maturity is just really kind of just depends on your situation, like how you were raised, your, like, where you come from. I think
Like
that's
for me, like I just see where you're coming from, like because that is often the you know the conversation that's led to is women do mature faster than men, and I think that where you know you're kind of hitting close to what I agree with, and it's that women have a set life plan at a sooner pace than men, and because they, you know, women do have that ability to bear children and they have that natural nurturing, at least that's what's expected from women. You know, you're expected to want to have kids, you're
right.
expected to want to do that. And you know, for a lot of women, you know, that I in my life, yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I try and avoid saying blanket statements across all the gender, but just from what I've seen and witnessed myself, things I've read myself, is that women do reach that peak of like social maturity to want to have a child faster than a guy does, or women are more likely to be committed to something than a guy is. And so I don't think that it's necessarily maturity. I think it's just different goals in life, different pace set to that goal. But unfortunately, it's viewed as maturity.
Right. And so so I feel like based off like certain opinions like that, I feel like that's why society kind of looks at men super harshly. You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of just we got to be the man, and if we're not, you're you're less of a man or you're a fucking failure. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, that's just my opinion.
All right, Carl, where are you coming from on this?
Uh, well, first off, I want to say society is a bunch of BS. Honestly, yeah, I think every expectation and stigma they put on male and female is just complete BS. I think it's just stupid and unnecessary. Because I mean, who's to say what anyone's life situation is, or life upbringing, or their personality, or just how they are as a person? Like, who are you to tell them, you know, you're not a man because of this, or you're not a woman because of this? I just think the expectations for men and women are extremely unrealistic and high. Women are expected to, in society at least, look a certain way and do this and be like that. And it goes the same thing for men. Men are expected to, I don't know, be, this macho and be smart and have a good career and all this other stuff. It's just like, it's just not realistic. There's plenty of dudes that out there that, it's like the brains versus bronze thing. There's dudes out there that are, have the big muscles and they're super smart. There's ones that have the muscles and they're not. There's dudes out there that they're super smart and, they take care of the woman. They do everything a man is supposed to do, but they just might not be 6 foot tall and you know, jacked. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's stupid. And there's women out there that love it, because like I know we've all seen those couples that are out there inside, and it's like, oh, this super hot girl with this, you know, this dude that's way out of, you know, she's way out of his league, and it's just like, you know, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's not a man. And it's like, he can be a great provider, a great listener. You know, he can be there for her when she needs it. Like, there's other ways to be a man and just a good person and a significant other than what society tells you you have to be a man or a woman.
And now, see, now that you said that, I think that what a person, say a woman in a relationship, what she would consider a man to her, it would be different from what another woman would consider a man. I think it's situational, you know?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Yeah, on the person's outlook, because
definitely like different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And with
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask another question. You go right ahead. Finish your thought.
With the whole maturity thing, yeah, I think that's complete BS too. With the women mature faster than men. I could say anatomy wise, I think that they do, but like everything else, I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Go ahead with your name. I can go on about that, but I'd rather not. So.
All right, so now, like, as two young men, right? Both of you are fairly young. You guys are kind of settling into your careers. Well, you're not 19, Carl.
Thank you. I'm young.
You're fairly young. But, you know, living the life that you guys have to live, you know, you guys are both military service members, you know, and you guys have to live that lifestyle, which is not an easy lifestyle to live, but it has its perks, has its downfalls. Do you guys feel that you are not meeting the expectation of your version of a man or society's version of a man? Do you feel like that you lack in any aspect of that?
Yeah.
Just
really
to society. I mean, to society's standard, yes, but I don't really go see. But the thing I like about myself is I don't really care about society's standards. So, but yeah, if you're looking at it from that and you're asking me that specific question, you're looking at it, I don't think that I don't check all the boxes of the standards of society.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I don't meet society standards as well as my own. You know what they say, you're your own harshest critic, or you are your harshest critic. I think I kind of blast myself for things that I don't get done, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like that's how you get better.
Yeah. You
critique yourself and you get better, you work on it, you get better.
Yeah, I think there's a healthy way to go about that. I think once we focus on that avenue, I think that's a fine line between a healthy outlook into your downfalls versus an outlook that's going to deteriorate you as a person because you are not meeting these expectations. You know, I think there's a risk involved with that. And so, I mean, I do find it very interesting though that both of you, you know, have that same kind of outlook on society, that you guys will never meet that society and it's all garbage, that outlook that society expects of men. And so, like, what is it that society expects other than being like muscular and big and like, you know, what is it how does it differ from you other than what you've already said?
It's just to me, it's an unreachable goal that society puts on people in general. I don't.
And where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, people are just never satisfied. I think that is it. I mean, this kind of, it's like go ahead.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you because that's what it boils down to. I think it all boils down to money, really.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's to sell a product, you got to sell an image, you know. So I think they put men and women, you know, got to look this way, and to look this way, do this, buy this, you know. And I think if you continually put that pressure, you put those type of people in the limelight, you show how glamorous their lives are. It's psychological, man. It's like you're people that have countless surgeries because they want to look a certain way. It's like you're trying to meet these unattainable expectations. And let's say you do meet your own standards and expectations, like, and that's great, and that's how it should be. You should only worry about your own standards and expectations, and
Exactly.
And then I feel like that's a road to happiness, because I feel like there's people out there, that you see on TV that, modify their bodies, like people that want to look like lizards, like that they cut their tongue and have these tattoos. That's not necessarily society's standards of, beauty and what's expected, but that's their standard, and that's what makes them happy. And I feel like that's what's important. I might not agree with it, but that's their happiness. That's their standard. And I feel like that's what we need more of, and not looking at the next person.
So do you guys feel that social media has made it more difficult to be confident with your version of a man versus what society's version of a man is?
Absolutely. Oh, me personally, no, but absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I do. With me personally as well. I mean, like I said, I've got this vision of where I'm supposed to be at this. Well, everybody's got a vision of where they're supposed to be at this age, at this point in their life.
A life plan.
If
Yeah.
you're talking about that, okay. Yeah.
And nobody really, you know what I'm saying, unless you're extremely lucky, or I mean, you grinded, you know what I'm saying, day in and day out. Nobody really kind of makes it to where they want to be at the time that they want to be there, and that's kind of like, that was my thing with society. And like you all the social media, you're seeing all these, for example, like 21-year-old and NFL superstars. I've got 6 years on these guys, and they're making more than I will in almost a lifetime. So it's upsetting, and it's kind of like forcing you. It makes you want to I guess set your standards so much higher. Like you believe that I should be there, which makes you kind of feel like, oh well, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, I definitely, now that you put it that way, I see what you're saying when you look at society and talk about, I was talking about more of like an image thing, but like it's even an aspect of people, how they're living their lives and stuff. Like you're talking about they're taking trips and got these cars and whatever.
Right.
They're like younger than you. Like, cause I definitely see that too. Like, oh, this person's in the NFL, NBA, and like, they just graduated high school making more than me. Yeah, for like a split second, you're just like, man, what the hell? What the fuck? But at the same time, you got to think like there's always going to be that person. That's like that's a revolving door. That's never going to end. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think, I don't know. So let me ask you, Dad, because I think it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, because I think it's clear that, well, actually no, because now that I feel like society is changing, but the stereotypical, or the traditional idea of a man and woman, and you being in like a same-sex marriage, how do you feel about that, like as a role, like, or like it's,
I think that, at that point, we're reaching the difference between a man and masculinity. I think that those two are two separate things. And so I think that predominantly, in my relationship, I'm definitely more of the masculine one in relationship. And there's like different aspects of that. I'm definitely not the one controlling this house. That lady controls everything. But
happy wife, happy life.
That's pretty much, that's where I'm at in my life. But
BS. That's BS. You got to raise the chaos.
No, I pick my battles. I'll raise some chaos, but if I do it wisely, I'm going to get away with it. But no, I think that for sure in my relationship, I'm definitely more masculine. But I'm not. I mean, I look at it as there's times where maybe I'm a little more timid to approach a problem, where if I don't feel confident or versed enough to handle that problem, and she is, then I'm going to help her handle it the best way that she can, because she's better suited for it. And so I think that integrity, that leadership, that always have the answer, I think that it's shared between her and I. Like there's times where I have no idea, a problem arises, and there's times where I can't show emotion. Like deep down inside, I'm stressing out and I'm panicking, but I realize right now that's not what she needs. She doesn't need me to panic. She needs to panic, and I just kind of have to grit through it. and try and support her as she gets over that initial shock of the problem, and then we'll tackle it together, or I'll tackle it, or whatever the case is. And so, but I think that that's a shared responsibility, and I feel like it's very unfair when that responsibility is solely put on a man. And like one of the nicest things about Alex is that when I first met her, I knew I wouldn't have to take care of her. She wouldn't depend on me financially. I never wanted her to. I helped put her through school to ensure that she didn't need me. These were all things that that were attractive to me in general. And so, I mean, I loved that. If she goes to a bar with her friends and I'm not there, I love that. I know that she's going to be capable of handling whatever scenario is there. I love that she's able to go to work and succeed in that without my help. I love that I'm not needed. That's, the last thing I ever wanted was for her to need me. And so,
and I agree with that. I like that too.
I feel like when it comes to a man, they're supposed to suck up whatever it is that they're going through, and they have to be there for people. They have to be that backbone. And I feel like that's a big rock to carry. That's a heavy load to carry. And I feel like that's very unfair, because you're still a person. You still have your stresses, your insecurities, your problems. And if you are going to be with someone that just looks at you for the answer, I feel like that's an unbalanced, unhealthy relationship. I feel that it should be the two of you. There's going to be times where you suck it up and you allow that person to freak out, and you help work them through that freak out, but the problem is handled together. And I feel like it's very unfair that men are looked at in a position of, well, if I don't know, you have to know. I feel like that's unhealthy. It's going to cause someone to reach a breaking point that is unnecessary to be there.
I agree.
Good points. I do have a quick question. So when you and Alex were in the early stages of the relationship, dating, and you guys went out, drinks, dinner, whatever, who paid?
I think it really depends on really the scenario. Like when I first went out with her, she was under 21, so I had to pay. Like, I mean, she couldn't buy her own drink. She was under 21. And so.
No, I'm talking like say you go to dinner just to eat. Like, did she, because you guys met, you guys were both working, right?
Yeah.
So like when you guys just say you go out to eat, not drinks, whatever, but like say you just go out to eat dinner, pay for dinner, talk, chatting, or a movie. Like, did you feel, because you say you're the more masculine, did you feel inclined that you need to pay, or that you wanted to pay?
I think it's not inclined. It's not been something. It wasn't something that I felt was necessary, but it was something that I was just in a better position to do. I made, about 4 times more, in my income than she did. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I didn't have a car payment. I didn't have car insurance. I didn't have the bills that she had. I did have an apartment, but I had a roommate as well. So the amount of money I was pulling in versus what was being dedicated to bills was a lot smaller than what she had to pay. And I made about 4 times the amount as she did. And so I feel like it would be very rude to expect someone that does not make the money that I was making and expect them, well, pay for my dinner. No, I feel like that point, it's just, I want to hang out with you. This is how it works.
And I like the way you said that. Some people might say that's like a different dynamic because, I don't know, I feel like that's great because you guys are both like the same sex. It's really like, where you're dependent on. But I like how you said that, like it's, it's situational, because if you're going to go out with someone because you generally like them, it shouldn't matter, like, who's paying or not. You can afford to pay for both of your meals because you want to be with that person's time, whether they're man, women, same sex. You should do that. But it's just like, and that's another thing, go back to society. It's like, there's this stigma, like, that is just, oh, he cares about you. The man wants my time. He's got to pay for the meal. And, oh, he didn't pay for the meal. But it's like, what if he didn't, what if he doesn't have, what if you do make more than, like, so what? Are you with him because you want him to pay for the meal? Or are you with him because you want to actually genuinely get to know him or her? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thankfully, I don't have that situation. I usually have to fight with my girl just to let me pay because she always wants to pay for everything. But
that's a struggle I wish I was going through, goddamn. Now, please let me pay. Oh my gosh.
I'm very fortunate in that aspect that my girl is very strong and independent, and on her feet in that way that that's not really an issue. But how do you feel about that, Kelly?
Um, I'm gonna get chastised for this. I do. I feel like it is like society makes it so that the like it doesn't matter what your financial situation is. It's like, oh, you're the man. You're taking the girl out on a date. You got to pay. You know what I'm saying? If you guys go out, you have to pay. You know what I'm saying? And you see that with the waiters and waitresses. Like they don't. Everywhere I've gone, if I've gone with somebody, you know what I'm saying, if it's a female, male, the male's always getting the check. You know what I'm saying? They'll split the bill. They'll be like, all right, are you splitting it or is it together? You tell them it's together. They're immediately giving, you know what I'm saying, the
Yeah,
check.
so you're saying society's trained to hand it to the man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
And
But I would say over the last couple of years, within the last probably like 10 years or give or take, that it has gotten better. I feel like the restaurants are probably training people more so to ask, if it's separate or not. I think that's good because I've had seen a difference in that in the restaurant instead of them just going. But it definitely still does happen where they just
right. I mean, there's no problem with the if you enjoy the company of somebody or you just want to spend time with somebody, it really shouldn't bother you to pay for the meal. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't, you know what I'm saying, be like, you shouldn't have to like wait, like, okay, is she gonna reach for a wallet? Or like it shouldn't be that kind of, you know what I'm saying? But I do believe that it's so if I invite you, it's who invites who. I think that'd be courteous. That automatically should be the person that's paid. So if I'm inviting you to go out to eat or to a movie,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying, I'll pay. You know what I'm saying, if vice versa, if you invite me, then you pay. You know what I'm saying?
I
Or
agree with that rule. I agree with that rule.
Yeah.
if we go out, you know what I'm saying, and I get dinner, you get the tip, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I think it's
Or just split even.
yeah, like just make it easy on the both of you. You know?
Yeah. And that's when she look at you like a broke boy and like, I'm never talking to this dude again. No. Nah, but I look like when I was probably like all through high school and even after high school, and like I was I won't say a believer, but me personally and my beliefs and how I felt, like I hated accepting money from women. I hated accepting gifts from women. Like I just didn't like it. Like even if I gave women a ride or a female friend from school or whatever, like they try to give me gas money, like I just didn't want to take it. Just me personally, it just felt weird for me. I don't know why, I just did. Not until I got older and wiser, I was just like, you know what, equality. You know what, I will take that.
Wow.
I will take that. I'll take that a little bit of gas money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you should. I provided a service. Yeah. So, but I think as I got older, I got more comfortable with it. Still not just from like anybody, whatever, but like, I definitely became more susceptible in the mindset of, equality in that realm of like, okay, it's okay. She wants to buy me a gift or she wants to pay.
So it kind of sounds like, like from your guys' aspect, like you guys have your own individual view of who you should be. And like, society pushes that pressure of what society thinks a man should be. But it kind of sounds like, I think we're all in agreement that it should just be an individual accountability thing. Just be a good person, do your best, don't hurt anybody, live your life. Who cares if I agree with it or not? Just go live your life, go chase your own happiness in a healthy way, and don't hurt anybody in that like routine that you're going on to get there. So I mean, it kind of sounds like this whole idea of what a man is really just being boiled down to what masculinity is, being compared to like a woman or whatever it is. Like, so it sounds like masculinity and gender are being blurred.
Kind of. Back to what Kelly was saying, and then earlier I forgot what you said, but like I think you mentioned it too. It was just like it's just being a good person. Yeah, it's being a good person. So I think those characteristics that we were talking about, that makes a man a good man. So like if you don't have that characteristics, more than likely, other than you having the anatomy of a man, I might not look at you like as a man. But that goes the same for a woman. Like if you don't have those characteristics of just being a good person and like having those traits, like I don't think you've matured to that status of to be called a man or woman. So I don't think it's just that characteristics are man. I think we're just talking about it because you presented the question, man. But I think it goes both ways. Like, I don't think if you have those characteristics, I don't think you should be called a woman. I don't think you're be looked at as a.
That's what I'm saying, is that it's not applied only to a man. It's applied to the individual, and it's not about trying to reach this goal of. It doesn't sound like you guys have a clear line of this is what makes me a man, other than your anatomy. What it sounds like, because all of your guys' goals of what it takes to be a man is my goals to be who I am as a person. And so, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's not, it sounds like that gender and masculinity are being combined into one thing.
I think, yeah, maybe from society, yeah. I think masculinity is, I guess, different. Because some females, if you ask some females, they want like a man that like takes charge and puts them in their place. But then we all know women don't want to be put in their place. They just want a man to try. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know. I think there is, yeah, you're probably right with them being blurred, but I think there's a very thin line between masculinity and being a man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I'm trying to get at. And neither of you have given that where that line is crossed over. It just looks like it's just blurred.
Yeah. Because I would say there's definitely more men that are more, I guess, feminine that wouldn't be considered masculine. They're not necessarily gay or, whatever. They're just not
a macho man.
They're just not a macho man. Yeah. And I think to me, that's the big difference, because not all men are, going to yell at you and put you in place. Like, some men just don't want to do that. Like, I ain't got time for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some women want to, quote unquote, want a roughneck. You know what I mean? Like, that's not everybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, and I've been told, like, oh, like, I need you to be more manly and masculine. It's like, that's your definition, and that's not me. Like,
right. I think being a man, it's just a personal thing. You know what I'm saying? It's how you your own qualities, how you view yourself. I think that's what. So nobody's gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying? Especially like, well, I mean, nobody that's not you is gonna tell you how to be a man. They might tell you how to be their version of a man, but they're not gonna tell you how to be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because you have those dumbass with like masculinity. You have those dumbass. There was like just they're jacked. They're loud. They're a term that likes to be used a lot is the alpha male. Mm-hmm. And the alpha male like mentality, and it's, to me, like, that's just stupid, because I've seen plenty of, because a lot of people like to use the alpha and I think there's like a beta male.
Omega, alpha and omega, or.
Yeah, but they say like a beta male, like a weaker, like a submissive, more submissive male.
So are you talking about personalities like A type, B type, C type?
I guess, but I just know like how it's like, because I know even on my Facebook, I have people that say, even at work, or like, I've had other men talking about, men talking to me about other men, like, oh, he's such a beta, you know what I mean? Like, he's so submissive and like timid and stuff. And it's just like, but he's a better person than you. Like, he's a better man. Like, he might not be like assertive as you are, like in people's face and yelling. And
he's not pounding his chest, but he's doing what he needs to do. Yeah,
exactly. But he's more of a man than you, and in that, like, every other aspect. But like, it's like, it's like, I feel like those type of men have that drilled in their head, to where they have to beat their chest to be considered the alpha and dominant and respected.
I feel like now that's just based off of insecurity. Like, I mean, mm-hmm. I feel like, and because you have women that do that, the women that come in and they have to assert themselves in every way. I think that's not gender like isolated. I believe that goes across the board, just based on the person.
Yeah, and that where does that stem from? Those insecurities, the society, because they think that's what they have to be like for society to get to the top of society. That's what
I don't think it's necessarily society. I think that it has to do with their upbringing. Something happened to them. Either they were bullied in school, or their dad was very cold to them and never got that guy's approval, or maybe he was absent and he was trying to base that off of TV. And so society in a way, but I don't think society's predominant in it. I think that it's through that person's life that they something caused them to, you know, go in a path that they try to take respect. They try to take that dominance. And I don't think it's a healthy way for anybody, because women do it too. And so I think that that's not gender isolated. I think it's across the board, but and it's not even society. I think it's based on what their experience was as a youth or a young adult.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's gender isolated. I was just speaking on the male aspect at that point.
Yeah, for me, no, it kind of sounds like you guys don't have a fundamental line of where is a man versus what makes you a man versus, you know, anything else. It kind of sounds like it's an individual thing, man
Definitely.
or woman.
Definitely an individual thing. Nobody's gonna tell you how to be a man or a woman. It's all in here.
Yeah.
In here.
Doesn't sound like there's any one characteristic that makes you a man and what makes you a woman.
No.
All right. Well, we are coming up to the end of the show. It was a very interesting topic. It sounds like Carl might still be in a disagreement with that last statement I made, but
whoa, what statement? What statement was that? You're not gonna end on that. What statement?
Oh, the statement that I said that you guys did not give me a characteristic where this is what makes you a man and this is what doesn't. Kind of sounds like it's based on your individual personality, man or woman.
Yeah, I think there are characteristics. I think.
And what are they? I've asked. This is the third time now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, those characteristics are based for men and women. To be considered a man or a woman, if it goes both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that there's none specifically to a man. But
okay, yeah. There's no specific. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And so it kind of looks like that when people are looking at how to be a man, I think they're looking at masculinity rather than an individual person. So that's pretty interesting to see. I thought for sure, like, I mean, you guys, I don't consider either of you to be like this macho, over domineering kind of person that's trying to take that respect from people. I think you guys are pretty just normal people. And so I was very interested to see, though, because you are in a male driven profession. So obviously you guys do experience that in a way. And so very interesting to hear you guys' topic. Thank you everyone for joining us and listening to us ramble about, I guess, gender versus masculinity and labels.
All right, people, just remember, be confident in yourselves, love yourselves. That's all it takes.